How y'all is tonight? I may have y'all too far back. So, let me know if you can't hear me, if I need to adjust anything. Let me get y'all pulled up over here on chat. I got me some goldenrod tea I made over here on my fire. I was trying to get where y'all could kind of see some of the stuff in the background, but can you hear me? Am I too far away? I talk loud enough, you should be able to hear me. Oh yeah, we got a pile of folks already on here. Good to see all of you. I'm not going to start naming names because I always get lost in there, but it is good to see everybody popping on here saying hello. And obviously, y'all, we are under the new back porch. I have been stringing up Christmas lights because what better way for a redneck to put some light on the situation than to add Christmas lights at Christmas time? So, I got out here this afternoon, and y'all can't see right above the table. We've got some of them bistro lights that they got the bigger bulbs, so they lighten up the table good. And then I've got Christmas lights all the way around the perimeter. Of course, I got colored ones right behind you where I'm hanging up all my cast iron and trying to get my pots and pans and stuff hung up back up there along that white wall up there to where they're out of the way. I didn't want them out here getting weather and such as that, rain getting on them. So now I have somewhere to put my cast iron. So I'm probably going to add to the collection because we are going to do a lot of cast iron cooking out here. So I don't know how much y'all can see in the background. Last night I was greatly struggling with cooking over the fire. I wanted to cook the deer meat over the fire, which I had no problem with cooking it on the Blackstone. I mean, I love it on there too, but I just wanted to cook over the fire. There's something about the wood smoke and all of that just adds to the appeal, especially for an old country boy. But I just wouldn't set up to do it, and I was kind of rushed to get started. It was late, done got dark. But now you can see I have built me a rack hanger. Now this is crude, thrown together. I'm probably gonna build me a good one. I don't know. The only reason that I would hesitate on doing that is sometime in the future I want to actually build a fireplace with a crane that swings in it. So even with that though, I still would probably need a swinging. It works better to adjust that up cooking anything, whether I'm setting that teapot or whatever on there, because with those chains, I can come up and down any way I want to, and it's swinging. It's gonna stay level. It don't matter what the wood looks like, because I've always been struggling with piling the wood under there and everything getting catty cornered. And that little rack thing I had, y'all, it's too low down. Now, if you set it over here to the side and take a shovel and shovel coals out and shovel them up under there, that works good. But I bought a Dutch oven with legs on it for that very purpose, so I really don't need that. But so far, I am enjoying it. Now, I'm not liking the dirt floor right now. The inside, the back of the house, it is tracking stuff in, which I knew was going to happen. So I really hadn't made my mind up on what we're going to do on flooring, but obviously it's going to be next summer before I even consider working on the floor, because, it's just going to take some money to put anything down for flooring, and I already know I want gravel around the edges for several reasons. One, grease and stuff off the cooking. I don't want staining up concrete. But if I ever have to pull those posts out, I want to be able to do that as well, so the next thing coming in is we should have storms rolling in at some point tonight. I don't know exactly when we should have storms coming in. So it could get hairy out here after a while. I don't know. And then I looked at the radar earlier, and it don't look like we've got anything immediately close. So I don't know. They may totally miss it altogether. I don't really know. But anyway, it's actually warm out here. It was cold last night. It's actually fairly warm out here tonight. It's probably, I need to get me a thermometer out here. And I got one down at the shed that I can put out here. But I'm guessing it's in the 50s, upper 50s, push 60s, something. I mean, it ain't hot, but it ain't cold either. So anyway, I'm glad all y'all joined in tonight. It is good to see you. That's Brian Glenn, my friend. That's my neighbor up the road. Good to see you. Weston, buddy, how are you doing tonight? I'm not going to try to go through here and call everybody's name, y'all. But I do like, when I know there's young kids on here, I do like to point them out. Now, Brian Glenn's my friend. He ain't a young kid. He might be a young kid at heart. But anyway, but Weston is. Weston's a young kid. And I have Matt Presley. Good to see you, man. You and Uncle Sasquatch. That's some of my heroes now. I watch them on YouTube. If y'all don't know, Matthew Presley is from Celebrating Appalachia, and then his daughters is the Presley Girls. So most of y'all know them, I think. But anyway, good to see you, man. Matt, I'm glad you're enjoying that knife. And speaking of knives, I am just now to a point that I'm going to make pottery probably tomorrow. And then that'll be Sunday. I probably won't do anything Sunday, but I'm going to make pottery just a little bit more. And then I'm going to try to make out some knives. I wanted to get them to where people could ship them as Christmas presents, but there's no way they'll make it through the mail right now, I don't think. It's possible they could, but I doubt they would make it in time for people's Christmas gifts. But I'm just now to a place that I might can work on some knives. So I'm hoping to make some here for the next little while. Y'all, and last night, most of you probably watched the video from yesterday. I almost deleted that whole bit of footage last night because I filmed with my Nikon camera. I didn't have any of these lights out here. It wouldn't lit up like it is now. If I had filmed with my phone, I would have been better off, but I was wanting to play with that other camera. I hadn't filmed with it in a while. And I couldn't see that little bitty screen, and I never did go get my eyeglasses where I could see, and it got out of focus a time or two. The next thing is I can set it to be in focus at a spot on the table, and then right over here is out of focus. So I probably need to change lenses for whatever is filming, you know, where the background's in focus and such as that. And what you see Michelle over there doing is they is a pot of turnip greens we are cooking. And the backbone that I smoked last night is in those turnip greens. So we're going to find out how good that is. Or if, you know, maybe decide in a little bit, hey, we don't ever want to do that again. But I'll be honest with you, I done been standing over it, stirring in at a time or two myself. And it's smelling really good. I think they're going, if they smell like they taste, they're going to be fine. So she's in there making cornbread, and cornbread and turnip greens, and then leftover deer steak from last night is what supper's going to be tonight. Stephanie Turner, are you enjoying Uncle Sasquatch Outdoors? I know I enjoy watching him. He knows some stuff about guns, and y'all, he knows about more than muzzle loaders, if you wasn't aware of that. He's been fooling around with guns and buying and selling guns and working in gun shops for a lot of years, and he knows about more than just muzzle loaders, but now muzzle loaders is his expertise. Jerry Short, how's the Starlink internet working out for you? So far, we love it. Now, to say it's the greatest thing there is, The only thing that I have to compare it to is the rural internet that we had before, which is horrible to begin with. It is by far better than any of the other satellite internets like HughesNet and things like that. Way better than all that. They do not cut you off after a certain amount of gigabytes or whatever. You know, a lot of them after 50 gigabytes, they start slowing it down, and it gets so slow then you can't do nothing. This don't. And I upload a video every day that takes a lot of data to do that. And then I'm watching videos. Brody streams a good bit of cartoons and stuff. He likes to watch some Spider-Man show, and then he watches Park Ranger LB, and then there's some other kids that play with Legos and stuff. He watches odd and ends of that stuff. We don't really watch a lot of TV other than, we've got the friendly TV on there, but about all we really watch is the Weather Channel, and then Brody bogarts it to watch cartoons, so that's all that stays on. If I watch YouTube, I usually sit in a chair looking at it at my phone. I got the iPad, but I reckon I'm too ignorant to pull it up on it. I don't know what my problem is, but one thing, if I'm sitting down, I'm usually working on editing my videos or something, so I don't watch a lot, but we use a lot of internet regardless. And then my daughter streams stuff constantly, and it supports everything that we do. Now, how is it going to work after a whole bunch of people in my area get logged on to it? I mean, I don't understand exactly how it works. I know every other internet service, the more people that get on it, the more bogged down it gets and the slower it gets. If that happens with Starlink, I don't know. I will tell you this, if it starts pouring down rain out here, it's like your satellite TV. It's probably going to go out at that point. It has not went out on us yet through the couple of rainstorms we've had, which we've not had no just gully washers, I call them. So far we liking it. Calling. It'll probably pop up on there. I don't know. My phone is linked to my iPad, so. Jerome Smith, no, I do not. I do not want to be in any kind of competition. I don't like competition. I like to enjoy life. Number one, I struggle to abide by other people's rules. If y'all hadn't figured that out by now, I like to do my own thing. And I'm going to tell you, the first time I got to a range and I blew smoke out down the barrel of my gun and they frowned on that and had something to say, we wouldn't agree. Now, I ain't sitting here saying I do anything by any means. I don't believe in being ugly, but I mean, I like to be able to do what I want to do, so I don't really have no business on somebody else's gun range. And I don't think I'm that great a shot. One thing for muzzleload, my eyesight's getting bad. Which that's at 42 years old, it's supposed to be getting bad, I reckon. It's hard to accept that like everybody else. Randall Ross, that cornbread and turnip greens, hey, you can make a meal out of just that. I ain't big on beans. Beans hurt me now. I ain't gonna lie to you. And they hurt everybody around me, if you know what I mean. Oh, Lord. Lantana Hill Homestead, tell your mother I said hello and I'm glad she enjoys watching Spirit of the Outdoors. I have realized in the last little while that I knew there were a good many young kids that watched my channel, but there is quite a bit of kids, and I'm talking about girls and all. In fact, when we went to the parade, there was a man that I know. He came up to me with his daughter. He said, she wants to meet you. He said, we were standing over there, and she said, there's that man over there. So it thrills my soul, y'all, to know that they is kids out there watching. I have always stressed and that this is a clean channel, that I try to keep it very clean, where you ain't got to worry about what your kids is hearing and seeing. And that's, I mean, that's a big thing now for the average people. Now, there's some folks that don't care what their kids say or do or watch or nothing, and I disagree with that. It's not healthy for them, regardless of whether they do it as they become adults or not. Kids need to, they need to enjoy that innocence and cleanliness. I mean, it's just, now, I'm not going to throw rocks at somebody. You raise your kids like you want to, but kids just need good role models, good, clean people that realize that, man, you can enjoy life and be clean and live for God and really enjoy life. And that's what I try to portray. And y'all, it thrills my soul that these kids that want to watch. And then the next thing, I've had a bunch of people reaching out to me in the last little while, want me to take kids to do something. And I am seriously considering it if I had good place that I could take other people. Some of the places I go, it's, just places that I can go. Really can't even take friends or anything because, I mean, you start taking, they want to go on their own, and it gets, then there's like, no, and they don't understand why they can't or why, So, anyway, the next thing is like insurance. What if you take a kid to go fishing and they, slip and fall and break their arm or whatever, It ain't necessarily I've done anything to them, but if something happened, you got to be covered for a lot of that stuff. So anyway, Eric, he said if I had your hair, I wouldn't cover it up. I had to shear this stuff off the other day. Y'all seen in some videos, it was hanging out under my, I mean, mine gets so thick, y'all, and woolly that I can't do nothing with it. I mean, you can't comb it. It just keeps growing out like this. It don't grow and like hang down. It grows out like this. So I have to, but hey, it's good insulation, but it gets unruly. My hair is thick, and I had a man, y'all, this week I think it was on my Facebook page. He jumped on me about my sunglasses and he said he can't take you serious in that get up, what he called it. I kind of flew hot with him this morning. I didn't say much, but it burnt me up first thing this morning to get out of bed and read that comment. I told him he probably didn't need to be watching this. But it ain't really that I'm trying to dress a certain way. This bandana is something I started wearing when I was welding. And I wore them welding hats and they would shrink. They're fitted. And when you put them in the washing machine, they'd shrink. You try to put it back on, man, it can give you a headache. Well, I didn't want that welding hat right on my hair. They get nasty. I mean, they just get smooted up, smoke. It just gonna get there, welding. And then you wipe and you leather gloves are nasty all over them. You wipe and sweat and junk. Everything gets filthy. Well, these bandanas, I could tie them, throw them in the washing machine. At the time, I was buying them for 89 cents a piece, and I could buy a fistful of them, and I could wear them until they got filthy and wash them and wear them again, and they'd come apart, and you'd throw them in the trash. Well, I mean, and it just become a thing, and then I was riding motorcycles and stuff, too, along then, and so it just kind of become a thing. And here's the next deal. I stood at the door at a funeral. Well, we was at our church. They were having a funeral there. And I was holding the door during the viewing the night before. And there was several hundred people come through, all neighbors and stuff that I knew. Y'all would not believe. I'm standing there in a suit and tie, dressed up for a funeral. At the people that I've been knowing all my life that walked by me and didn't even recognize who I was. Because they recognized me with this bandana. I mean, they wasn't being ugly. They just used to me with a bandana on. They didn't even know me without it. So it's kind of become part of my identity. Am I old enough to have discarded it and wear something different? By all means, but it is. This is just how it be. Brian, this is a lot better setup than back in the old days. I can get out here and cook on a fire and enjoy stuff. And now I can have a fire in the rain out here. Even when it's too hot to have one in the house. I mean, you can't build a fire in the house and it'll run you out of there after a little while. And out here, I've got it set up to where I can build one in the rain. Now, I don't know how the smoke's going to work. So far, this hasn't smoked up. Now, last night, that smoker over there, it filled this thing up with smoke. So I'm going to have to take the pipe to it and run it on out the door and something. I don't know. But it was boiling up under here and getting in the house around the cracks of the air conditioner and stuff last night. So, Randolph, Sunbright, Tennessee from Dunedin. Oh, Dunedin, John Dyden has tried to call me twice while we sitting here on this live, and I've had to decline his call. He ain't called in forever. So if you talk to John Dyden, tell him that we live. I can't answer the phone right now. But good to hear from you. Barry, thank you. He said I did a good job on this. I throwed this together from just a dream I had in my head, and I just started at it. And I say throwed it together. I mean, it's rough and crude, which is what I like. It's my style. I don't like everything perfectly fit together where it looks like it was, milled out of a computer program. I don't know. I like stuff to look like somebody took a hatchet and just hacked it out, But this has just been something I wanted and the way I wanted to build it for a long time, and I'm glad it is over with. I have missed a lot of hunting this fall, and he's talking about he would like to go. He's ready to go squirrel hunting again. I am ready to get the flintlock out and go shoot me a mess of squirrels. We're gonna get a black pot that's hanging up right there and put it on that cooker right there, and we're gonna fry some squirrels here before long right here. So anyway, I can get out here when it's drizzling rain and cook and do whatever I want to, and I need to go get in the woods. I'm probably gonna paint the canoe sometime in the coming weeks. But anyway, we've missed out. I know y'all ain't seen as much hunting as I normally do and trapping, and hey Rooker, how are you doing? Brian said you was watching. Anybody else that's got kids watching tonight, let me know. I'll be glad to say hey to all the kids that's on here. Stephanie Turner, thank you. You and Daryl are watching tonight. I just try to be down to earth, down home country boy. What you see is what you get. I had somebody tell me the other day, said, I can tell your show's real for something, that it ain't put on. And y'all, I honestly believe that if you start faking things to just try to make a video, people know it. At least I do. I can watch other people's channels, and honest to God, I can tell you every time when they faking, I'm like, they didn't. And I have seen some well-known channels that to me, it was blatantly obvious that they faked one guy, he shot a turkey with a flintlock, and I well knew it was staged. I mean, it was just blatantly obvious. The turkey, you could tell by the looks of the turkey when he was toting it out that it wasn't shot with no flintlock. So anyway, Roscoe was here. You want up here on the table? Get up there and sit down. Get right there. That's a good boy. He likes for me to hug on him. He'll get right up in my face, and he don't realize I'm talking to a camera over here. He thinks I've lost my mind. He hadn't got petted enough today, has he? I'm sure somebody's like, dog on the table, oh my God. What are you doing, buddy? Where's your ball? Go get your bone. Bring that bone. Bring it here. Bring it here. Bring it here. Give it here. This is the bone he got in the mail. He'll go get that. He'll find that rat straight and come back up here with it. He loves to play fetch now. Orange and red spots on them squirrels. I don't know. Are you talking about on my squirrels that I killed? Some of the ones on the squirrels I killed had spots as where the warbles had come out of them, and it just left a sore, you know. If there's a warble in there, we call them wolves. They call warbles in places, it's a botfly larva that grows, it gets big as your thumb. It'll be a big knot if he's in there. He'll go get that every time I throw it. But if it's just orange or red spots, you got me. It could be a number of things. I'd tell you something else, Donita, talking about me not being fake. I had somebody come in the other day about where did I get that fake accent. And I don't know where they come up with this as a fake accent. I mean, if it's fake, and I've done made, I don't, how many hundreds of videos is on this channel? I don't even have a clue. And I don't think anything has varied in here throughout. But most people, they watch one video or one short and or a reel on Instagram, and they try to, you know, they got your whole life figured out from that. They don't have a clue. McKenna Maccabee, how are you tonight? Charles, I'll tell you something about that squirrel. When you peel the hide off, look at the meat, smell the meat. If the meat is discolored, or if there's something on the meat itself, I would probably steer clear of it. But now with a warble, it's just in the skin. It will not affect that meat. Now, most people I know personally is going to throw it away. But now it depends on your personal preference. I eat some this year that had them in there just because I wanted to see. And I didn't film and tell anybody on camera, hey, I'm eating these. It's had warbles in them. I had some biologists from here in the game and fish tell me personally that, yeah, it don't hurt a thing. You can eat them. We've studied it. We know about it. And it's one of those things that's just unsightly. It's hard to see and eat it. But now I struggle with throwing something away after I've taken its life. If I kill an animal, I've got to have a good reason to kill it, and then I want to utilize it as best I can. And I don't like to throw something away that I've killed, that I could have let go, you know. So but anyway, if it's on the meat after you've pulled the skin off, if there's discoloration on that meat or anything like that, then I would probably discard it just for the not knowing. I'm trying to scroll back up through. I'm trying to make sure I hadn't missed anybody that had kids they was wanting me, because Debbie Gardner, you said 12-year-old Debbie A. Gardner. Did I miss a name, or is it? Anyway, If I miss something, come in again, y'all. It's hard to keep up, talk to y'all, and keep up with every comment that comes through. I try to keep up with them. Chronic wasting disease. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know anything about it. And here's what I'm going to do. When I skin an animal, I'm probably not going to take every animal that I have up to a processing plant. But when I skin an animal and it looks like something's wrong with it, then I'm going to decide at that point, hey, I want to see what this is or whatever. But when I kill an animal and it looks healthy, number one, I'm not going to shoot something that looks like it's malnourished and poor looking and looks sickly. Now, I did shoot a deer a couple of years ago down here out of the canoe. It was a small buck. It had a very small rack. It was legal, but it was a buck that I probably would have normally passed on, but somebody had shot him in the foot, and his foot was just flopping. I basically shot him as, put him out of his misery. He's suffering. Would he have healed and gotten better? Possibly, but he had to be in excruciating pain. And I was needing the meat anyway, so it just, we both won out on that deal. But if I see a game animal that's ribs is showing and it looks sick, I'm not going to shoot it. And they tell me that the chronic wasting deer have that. Probably not all of them. So the next thing is when you peel the hide off of a deer, if I start seeing discoloration, spots on it, anything abnormal, then I'm going to stop there and make a decision on what I want to do. I don't know about chronic wasting. They worried about it spreading among the deer herd and killing the deer. I don't know that it makes that deer unfit to eat or not. It very well might. I'm saying I don't know that it does. And some of y'all on here may have researched it and know more about it than I do. I'm under the impression that hot grease will kill just about anything. Am I telling you to eat one that's got positive for chronic wasting disease? No, not at all. But what I'm saying is if you don't know and you took a chance on a deer and you was needing meat, I probably wouldn't grill it and eat it half bloody like I like to do sometimes. If I was questioning it, I would make sure it was well cooked. But I don't know. We don't have it down this far. I'm in east central Mississippi, down not far out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. And they just had the closest case, I think, was in Holmes County. And that's way up, it's several cases up around the Memphis area, that part of the state, that corner of the state. So it hadn't worked its way down this far yet. So that tells me it's not coming from the wet corn on the ground. That tells me it's spreading from deer to deer. So does that make sense? And that's me guessing and just using my brain. I have not researched it to do anything about it. Danita, tell Maya and Bubby hello. Brian Glenn, I cooked rattlesnake, and my brother's daughter, my niece, she ate some of it. She said that was delicious. And if you know her, she ain't just out here randomly eating coons and possums and such as that. But she said the rattlesnake was good. Rattlesnake is good and beaver is good. I have struggled to make coon good. Now, we're going to cook a coon out here sometime as soon as I can catch one. I hadn't set any traps yet. Probably in the next couple of weeks, we're going to set some traps and do some stuff. He reminded me that I hadn't thrown his bone yet. And I'm going to cook a coon. But, yeah, the rattlesnake's good. But now, I hadn't killed a rattlesnake in 2 or 3 years. Wesley Fulton gave me one last year or year before that we cooked and ate on camera. But I don't never see any rattlesnakes. I need to start riding the roads more. I reckon I'll find me one. William Fuller, I pushed the TP over the other day when I was down there. When I got through filming and turned the camera off, I went over there and pushed it over. It's already on the ground. I put the poles up and I tried to make a type of a wall, like a lean-to shelter out of that tarp. That tarp is old and heavy, and I'm probably going to scratch. I may film down there while it's like that one time just to show y'all what it looks like. I'm probably going to trash that thing. I have got a good heavy green tarp down here that I could make a wall tent that would look a whole lot more appealing and better. So we may go down there and film building a wall tent one day, but the TP is gone. Now, I will say this. I'm going to have another TP. Most likely, right out here off of this corner of this thing, there's 3 raised beds I raised tomatoes in. All of that is moving. I'm going to take a tractor and I'm going to clear out them logs is rotted and it's a mess. And I'm going to move all of that, the dirt and everything, and move it down here. And I'm going to build another setup that's going to improve my raised beds and my garden. And I'll show y'all my design on that closer to spring. So what I'm getting at is I may build my TP right over here. Just for the fact that I can come out here and spend a night in it, and me and Brody can stay in it. And if he decides, hey, I want to go in there and sleep by mama, he can come in here. He likes to sleep. He don't sleep with his mama. He sleeps on the couch is where he likes to sleep. And I would get more use out of it sitting right there, but I'm going to build it in a way that I can take it down there and put it up if I want to and move it around. And it's going to be a very large TP. So next summer at some point, there may be a whole series on us building a TP. I've got some canvas drop cloth my sister gave me that's very large. I'm probably going to buy a couple more large ones, sew them together, and cut out a real TP shape. And then probably soak it in mineral spirits and silicone is what I'm thinking is the way to go. The boiled linseed oil and turpentine and stuff works very well, but that also makes it very heavy, which is more difficult to erect. I think the lighter that cloth is, the easier it'll be to put up. So Bryson. Hey, Bryson. Good to see you tonight. I'm trying to go through now and catch up on what all I missed. Wesley Thomas, I'm liking this porch too, which I knew I was. And my whole deal, the reason I was all excited, well, the firewood back here right behind the camera was the main thing. I want to be able to come out here and get my firewood. It stayed dry, which now I'm burning firewood out here nonstop. We're going to go through a lot of firewood. We're going to have to go cutting firewood, but I wanted it to where I could film, like what I'm doing right now. It just looks appealing. Man, we started out filming videos with junk piled everywhere. And the more I would edit videos, the more I would think, man, I need to clean this mess up. And so I wanted something that I could set up and film out here, cooking and whatnot, and people driving up didn't affect it. I don't know how many times that I've been filming or doing a live and my mom and dad or Michelle's mom and dad drive up and they feel embarrassed because they've just interrupted, and this, stops all that because they don't really want to be on camera. I try to slip my mama and daddy on camera some because it's memories for me to have, but my mama, if you ever notice, when she does realize she's on camera, she goes to getting out of the way in a hurry. And it's kind of funny to us, but I try to get her on camera some because those are memories that I'll have from now on. I can go back and watch. But moving back here, it just works out better to film and do things, and a place for us to hang out. This is where all my morning coffee. Now I can sit out here, drink my coffee, and look at my chickens and look at my garden and look at the bird houses and that kind of stuff instead of sitting on the front porch watching everybody go to work. The next thing is this is on the north side of the house. My front porch is on the south side of the house, and this time of year, it's a 12-foot porch, and it's like 10 foot, well, at least about 9 foot, the posts are. the sun is low enough that it shines all the way up in there, and it'll blind you in the mornings on a sunny day trying to sit out there in the morning and have your coffee. And I like to go sit outside when it's warm weather to have coffee. So this is going to be the place that I do that now. And my tea's getting cold. I've got goldenrod over there. I don't know if y'all can see it on that pot. And I may have to make some more in a little while. I got a jar of goldenrod. I like to keep my plant material in a jar. You can't see much. So anyway, but yeah, I am enjoying this. This is something that I'm enjoying a lot. Yeah, Daniel, we got the lights put up here. We got the light. I had to get some light. I knew last night when I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was editing that video, and I'll tell you what saved that video last night. I mentioned earlier that I almost deleted it a time or two because, I mean, the footage was horrible at places. That where me and Brody sit here and eat, man, that was completely out of focus. And it was because I couldn't see good enough to see that screen out here in the dark to tell if I was in focus or not. The only thing that saved that video, and the reason y'all got to see that video, is that little segment of Brody standing over there by that grill telling all the kids that they needed their parents when they was building a fire. Y'all, that, I don't know, as a parent, that just, he knew that and wanted to tell that camera. I didn't tell him to say none of that. Nothing is scripted here. We strictly film by flying by the seat of our britches. And it just warmed my heart for him to tell all, and I felt like it was important that any kids watching heard from Brody, don't build a fire without your parents helping you. And that was why y'all even got to see that video. So, you know, and it turned out, got a good response, a lot of views on it, but, you know, as far as my standard of quality, I would have deleted that video just because of that one whole clip, because I just, when I got in there editing it, it broke my heart. I'm like, man, this is terrible. But yeah, I'm enjoying it out here. Randy, I thought I'd talk normal too. I don't know. People talk about accent. I thought they was the one that had the accent. Sandy Michelle, well, me and Michelle, she went and picked the turnip greens. I smoked them deer backbones last night on video. We've got 2 of them in that pot of greens over there. So there's a pot of turnip greens over there cooking. And she's in there making cornbread, but I had put them in this pot. She was going to cook them in the house, and we had more than would fit in her little pot in there. So I said, bring them out here. I'll cook them out here. And then now that I'm on here, she's out here having to cook them. So, yeah, she's cooking them. And Roscoe and this bone, I wish I could remember who sent me this bone. It was in a bunch of stuff I got that me and Brody got. I can't remember now who's I should know. Anyway, somebody will get on here and tell me they sent it. He's getting good use. I tell you, that bone has disappeared for a while. When I moved this table, it was sitting around under the carport with pottery all over it. And it's heavy. So me and my dad-in-law moved it around here. When we moved the table, his bone was up under it at the back. Well, when I got it out, son, he has toted it around and guarded it. I'm afraid he's going to run in that fire here in a minute. But I was throwing it back there where y'all could see him go get it. Davis Hayes. I've got one little old deer, and he wasn't big enough for nothing. But now these next 2 weeks coming up, it's muzzleloader season here on the perimeter area, and I've got my bearing to put in my clutch on my Polaris Ranger, so I got to get that fixed maybe tomorrow. Well, I need to make pottery tomorrow. I don't know. I got to get that bearing put in there, and then I can run that swamp. So we're going to get one here before long. I'm going to have to get the muzzleloader. Well, I'm going to shoot the 45-70 with black powder in the cartridge, and that's what we're going to... Jimmy Covington, Paul Peden is my daddy. He is a legend. And he's still working every day, building trusses and helped me put this roof on. If you'll go back and watch the video of me roofing this, you'll see Paul Peden helping me put metal up on this building. But yeah, he hauled asphalt for a long time, and I worked with Paul Carney that worked on all the trucks. White Globe greens. I think these is purple top greens, and I think we got them mixed with mustards too, and I don't know which kind. Mary, I have made 2 face mugs since then. One of them is glazed, one of them is not. The problem is we tried to glaze one of them and fire it with our other pottery, and it didn't come out right. Them face mugs, trying to do the colors that I do on them, have to be fired at a higher temperature. So the one that I was made for somebody is sitting out there, and then I got another one that's got a beard and all, and she hadn't even glazed it, so I got to get all that done. I've got to get some more face mugs made. Michael Mosley, I'm going to do a video at some point with milk and cornbread. Most folks that ain't down here in the deep south don't know about milk and cornbread, I don't think. I don't think they know what kind of a treat that is. Roscoe, he's wanting to go get that bone. Let me move something right here. I'm afraid he's going to get hurt. This rat is right here in the way. Now he can go get that without fear of being hurt. So what I done, y'all, is I poured tea that I had made in a coffee pot. No, I made it in a pot the other night on the stove in there. So I have not got any plant material in this thing. And this little pot right here is ideal. I got this on Amazon. And this is just goldenrod. And I'm putting a couple of pinches in there. So what you seeing me put it in is this little screen. Some of y'all have seen this pot. And I done cracked the top of it, but it's got this little screen deal. You put the plant in, and then it just drops right down in there. So with that, I have got a milk jug now of water sitting over here to fill it up, because I ain't got running water out here yet. When I start building. Well, let me set this on there and I'll tell you shortly. Get that close. See how I adjusted that right down to that fire? That makes life so much easier. If I'd have had that last night, we'd have sure enough had a video. But hey, like somebody commented, Rome wasn't built in one day. Well, Mary, thank you. I'll sure tell him, he watches that mail truck. If it drives up and the dogs go to barking, he runs out there. And he's not here tonight. He's at his nana's. He went to there. We had to go run a bunch of errands in town. He went over there and then he throwed a fit to spend the night. Well, I was going to be doing this, so I said, well, let him stay. So I ordered him on eBay. He's into G.I. Joes and he's wanting a Ranger house. Y'all, he has been asking for Christmas for a Ranger station for 2 years, and we don't know what a Ranger station is. I have looked for Ranger stations. I've looked online where there's no, and I've had him with me, and we looked, and we ain't seen what he's wanting. I do not know where he's seen what he's got in his mind that he's wanting, but he's basically wanting some kind of a fort. Well, that stuff he got in the mail the other day, that sack of men, he has toted them everywhere, and that's as close as he's got to a ranger station. We bought him Lincoln logs, and he's got a tub full of Lincoln logs to make his own fort. Well, he's playing with all these little men, and where's the bone? Hand me the bone. Hand me the bone. He won't go get it. He laid it down over there. So with the G.I. Joes, I got on there, and the little men that you buy now, they ain't near about the quality the old G.I. Joes was when I was a kid. So I got on eBay and started looking for vintage stuff. Well, I found an army tank about this long. And I won it on eBay for like $20 the other day. So it'll be here sometime this week. So Brody, I got to watch your mail truck too, because he'll be run out there and got something, opened up his Christmas present. Well, oh, he brought it on over here to me. Roscoe loves to play ball. He's the star of the show. That's Uncle Sasquatch's friend right there is who it is. But anyway, what I was going to say about the porch. I've got my cooking stuff out here. My grills and my Blackstone is over there by the door. So I have got out here using this right now, and I don't know that I'm happy with the way everything's set up, because I'm going to add a double burner like a camp shelf. But there's a place uptown up here local that had one that had the 2 burners up top, and then it had a low burner down beside it, which is ideal for crawfish boils, for, you know, boiling anything that you boiling in a pot like this that's, you know, in a big pot. So I wanted that, and then I want to get me a basket fryer like we've got over here at our cabin. We've got one over there they ideal for saving grease. You don't use up as much grease. Now all this stuff's expensive, but what I'm getting at is I want to set all of that stuff up somewhat permanent, and then this is going to be a fireplace eventually, so nothing can really come past that post over there. And I've got to have some counter space over there to do my cutting up and on. The next problem is everything has to be laid out in a way that I can film around. So I hadn't mastered this yet, but I want a sink with water in it out here. And I've got a stainless steel sink down there that's at the back of my shed. I've had it for years. It's upside down under a thing. But we may be swapping the one in the house. We've got an old deep ceramic cast iron type sink that's over here at our shop. We pulled out of that cabin. Well, the skinning racket was in it. But my wife is wanting it in that island. So we may pull the one that's in there in the house out, and I could frame up something and put it out here. So next summer, you may see a whole bunch of no telling what design. We're going to use this a while through the winter and see what. The more I use it, the more I know what I need and don't need and want to adjust. So you're going to see some changes out here before it's all said and done. Hopefully it gets better with time. And I told Michelle, we was talking about it the other night. I said, well, this is my Christmas present. You ain't got to get me nothing. We've spent a good bit of money on this. This is my Christmas. So anyway, what have I missed now? Chickens laying, James Morgan? No, they not laying at all. I have put lights on. In fact, I turned the lights off. This time, last year after Christmas, when I pushed the lights on, they went to laying that day. And I'm talking about went to laying good. And they was just a red light. So this time I have added white lights, red lights, changed the times. They ain't laid an egg one in a while. So I just cut the lights back off, and I'm going to give them their break till after Christmas. Their bodies need that. Some of those hens are older, but now there's a good many young hens in there. So I don't know what. All right, Mary, what did I ruin for you? The ranger station, that's what you're talking about for Brody. My plan is I'm fixing to go out here in the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to build Brody a ranger station. I'm going to take a sheet of plywood about this big. I've got a scrap piece down there, and I'm going to start cutting. I'm going to build him log cabins, forts. I'm going to build him a watchtower. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be set up where his men can play all in it and him not knock it over every time. I'll take a finished nail gun and nail every bit of it together, make it look like log cabins or something. And I think that's probably my best option. And put it and fasten it to a board to where he can tote it around and it don't come apart. And I don't know. We'll see. Larry Alexander, you hadn't missed nothing yet. Yeah, Roscoe, he keeps bringing that bone up here, laying it down. Look at him. He's done brought it back right here. You'd think he'd get tired of going and getting it after a while. Well, Mary, don't worry about it. We'll figure this out. A kid can't never have too many. But what I am doing, I am getting on eBay now, and I'm going to try to start acquiring along some of those G.I. Joe, the actual vintage G.I. Joe men. Because if they come apart, there ain't nothing in there but a little old rubber band that holds them together. You can fix them pretty easy. So I got you now. So as John said, it's buffering too much. Is anybody else having trouble with it locking up and buffering? I'm watching it on here and everything looks good, so it may be on your end. Mary, I can't keep a secret either. I'm going to tell you right now, when I buy somebody something, I want to give it to them so bad. And I keep giving them hints as to what it is. You done come back with the bone, I guess. But you keep laying it over here, I have to get up to get it. Look at him. Come up there, climb up on me to tell me he brought his bone over there. Well, good deal. It drives me crazy, and if it starts freezing up, I don't blame you for cutting it off. I ain't gonna watch something locking up and all either. But we still got 112 people, so that's more than I've ever had. Somebody said there's 140. I didn't pay attention if it was 140 at one time or what. But anyway, I'm sure I have missed questions and comments. I get started talking about one subject. Carrying your 22 around. I keep a 22 on my buggy everywhere I go. Now, Roscoe has just went and pushed that door open. Was you going in and decided not to? Oh Lord! I was not expecting you to climb on up here. Look, they can't see me with you up there. You somewhat mooning the camera there. Get over here and sit down. See it? See it? Good boy. Sit right there. You never know when you're gonna run across a squirrel in the yard and need to. He's neglected. Y'all see this? How neglected he is. He wants some attention tonight. I hadn't petted him and played with him. I've been gone most of the day. Y'all, this dog, get right here and see it. See it, see it, see it. Good boy, good boy. When we go to deliver pottery, I mean, we can be gone to town or something like for half a day. When we drive up, he acts like, man, we've been gone for a month. I mean, he just dare about tackle you down. He can't stand for me to leave him. So I don't know what he'd do if I had to go off and work a public job every day. All right, get down. Here's you want to go get your bone? I'm scared for you to take off running from on that table. Come on, get down. Come on. All right. He's gonna worry me to death if I don't keep throwing it. Roscoe's gonna sleep real good, Uncle Sasquatch. He'll get in there and when I go get in the bed, and I know most people's gonna frown on this, but Roscoe's gonna sleep in the bed. We have to change his sheets nearly every day. We have wore a couple of sets of sheets out washing them so much. But when we get in the bed, he's going to put his nose on that cover and go to the other end. And if you don't let him in there, you ain't going to sleep either. So, what do? We put him in the bed, and after about 2 nights, you got to pull all the sheets off the bed and run them through the wash. I'm seriously, we throw sets of sheets away because we wore them slim out washing them. Time to wet a hook, David Rush, and I agree. I have not caught near the amount of crappie that I have normally caught by now, and right now, I guarantee you they are tearing it up. I've got a couple of holes in that swamp that I usually have done frequented all through November, and I ain't been not one time, but my problem has been my buggy messed up. I went the other day and it quit on me. I had to get my daddy to come over there with a trailer and load it up and haul it back, and anyway, I may need to turn them greens off over. I seen her come to the door, peep out here. I don't know if I need to check on them here in a minute or not. Jeremy Holland, I don't really know what Roscoe is. Roscoe, technically a Feist is just a small breed of dog. I don't think there's an actual, where's your bone at? Oh, that it's an actual bloodline. I think most of them come from Jack Russell and I don't know what all there's several different bloodlines, I guess, of dogs. And Feist may be a blood. I don't know. My wife, when she was at a vet, they told him, Feist ain't really a bloodline. So I don't know what he is. His mama looked a lot like him, but was a little smaller. The daddy was just a random little black dog that showed up that looked like what we'd call a Feist. So I never saw his daddy. I may have seen him, but not to know that was his daddy. It was a neighbor's dog. It just showed up because the mama was in heat, and they let him have puppies. And so he's either some kind of a rat terrier or Feist or Jack Russell mix. Now we've got a neighbor up the road that she's got a little that's part Chihuahua and part Feist like he is. That's a female, and she's done had puppies twice that Roscoe was a daddy, and she's probably going to have puppies in another month or so, or should, because she come in heat, and I know when she's in heat because he loses all control. They're about 4 houses up right here, about, I don't know, 1/4 of a mile up the road, and they don't ever realize it in time to put her up, or don't try to put her up, or I don't know. But anyway, don't matter to me. But it drives him nuts. And we have to keep him in the house, or he'll stay in the road back and forth going up there. And I'm afraid he's going to get run over between here and there. And so they've had puppies that they tried to give away several times. And I've had some people say they wanted a dog off of Roscoe. If somebody wants one of them puppies, I can probably get one. I don't know. I'll have to see. Depends on what they have the next time. After he's made a video, they done got quite popular, and there's several folks are waiting on them. So if he has any, I got some of them gotten rid of already. But he's a good dog. I'll tell you this. I've never had a dog that loved me as much as Roscoe does. Now, I have had several dogs I loved as much as him. The last pit bull that I had is a special dog, and I got a picture that popped up in the memories of my Facebook the other day, and I'm sitting out there drinking beer, had a beard down to here, and my hair sticking all out from under a baseball cap. And in the background, that pit bull of mine that was named Junior was laying over there on a bed. I had a bed made for him, and he would lay out there in that shed as long as I wanted to sit out there and drink beer and act stupid. And he stayed right by my side through some dark years of my life. And we were building the house when he passed away. And I immediately got Roscoe after that. But Roscoe, he's different. Every move I make, he's right under my feet. If I get on that buggy, he's on it. He'll ride. Them other dogs I had, they wasn't crazy about riding. They would get in a truck and ride with me some, but four-wheelers and buggies and stuff, they just wasn't interested in riding. Roscoe, if you crank it up, he's on. So, I don't know. He's a special dog. Glenn Forrester, I have never fooled with a carp. I'm not opposed to trying it. I just have never done it. I've also never fooled with a gar. And I wanted to try gar this year. I never did catch one. Now, my buddy David from Boundless Pursuit that I did the podcast with, I'll check out he's an avid fisherman. He explained to me how to catch them. I need to get a cork and a bobber and fish with cut bait or something and fish it, under with a small hook. And I never really set up to do that. And the reason is because what we have here is a lot of those spotted gar, which is a real needle nose like gar. That's what I have the most of. Now, we have some big gar here, but they're not as many of them. So, normally, once I'm fishing, I target bowfin. I love to eat bowfin, and if I can catch them, that's what I'd rather have. But now, I have never fooled with gar. I'm not opposed to trying gar. Yeah, he went back there and treed David. I don't know what he went back there and lit out after something after he brought his bone up here, and I wouldn't throw it again, I reckon. Deer meat's not really that hard to, well, it ain't to me. We grew up on deer meat. Deer meat here is like a delicacy. I mean, when somebody said, man, we had deer meat, everybody, oh, you didn't call me out of come, just carrying on. But the secret to deer meat is don't overcook it. If you cook deer meat too long, it'll get tough as shoe leather quick. It's also, you don't want to cook any of the fat on it. If there's a lot of fat on a deer, you want to get rid of that. And y'all up in the northern parts of the country probably have a lot more fat on your deer than we do here. Because they prepare for colder winter there. You're going to have to get all of that off. Normally, I cut it off while I'm skinning the deer. And then if there's any still on it when I'm processing, I cut it off. But I cut cross of the grain in that hind quarter, and I'm usually after the younger, tenderer deer for eating, and I'm a meat hunter. So cook it slower. Fish, when I'm cooking fish in grease, I put that fish in that grease, and that grease is, I want it at least 275. Deer meat, I don't want it over 250. And the reason is I want it to cook slower so that it'll be tender, because the faster you cook something, the tougher it is. Squirrels are the same way. If you throw squirrels in 275 grease till they start floating, they'll be so tough you can't eat them. The next thing with deer meat and squirrel, if you take that cast iron pot and cook it and you'll close a lid on it, put a cast iron lid on there and it'll simulate like a pressure cooker, you a whole lot better off as far as coming up with tender meat. And that's just some tips and tricks that I've done on it. Debbie, we've never canned deer meat. I talked to my buddy Don Lanier, and he cans it. And Tony Parker, I think, was telling me he's canned a good bit of it. Don Lanier told me that he cans his and adds some seasoning to it when he cans it. And he said, I've took it deer hunting with me, and if I stay all day, he said, I'll pop the lid off of a jar of it, eat it right out of the jar. He said, it's cooked once you pressure can it. And I've got a book in there that tells me all how to do it. I've just never done it. So this year, once I set up out here like I'm set up now, I'm going to set my canner up out here and pressure can deer meat out here. And so I'm hoping I kill enough that I get to can some. But I do like to freeze some, because what I do is I take those hindquarters and I divide up those three main big muscles in a hindquarter, and I vacuum seal them and freeze them, each one individually, so that when we pull it out of the freezer, I can cut it into big, thick, juicy steaks and cook it like I did last night. Or I can cut it up into smaller pieces and fry it. I can cut it up into stew meat. I can leave the thing whole and put it in a crock pot or a Dutch oven and do it as a roast with potatoes. So it leaves me a lot more options. Once you can it, you're a little bit limited on what you can do with it at that point. But as far as preservation, you're better off that way, because I can't tell you how many people I know that have thrown piles of vegetables and deer meat away because power went out and lost everything in the freezer, or freezer quit working, didn't know it. And by the time they realize this, they've lost everything. So canning it has its benefits by a long shot. So yeah, Johnny does are by far the best eating to me. And a young doe, a lot better. Yeah, no, I've been looking at these turnip greens over here. I need to stir on them, and I probably need to just cut them off. I had plenty of water in them, though. But I'm fixing to turn the pot off. I don't think we ever put no salt in them. May have to redo that, but you can taste that smoked backbone in there. It's got a lot of good flavor to it. Brian Glenn, y'all have a good one, man. Thank y'all for hanging out with us for a while. We have already been going over an hour, y'all. Vicky, I told about your mug earlier. We fixed it. We fired it, and it's in the keel to be fired again. We fired it with our other pottery at the cone that we fire all of our other pottery at, and that wasn't hot enough. So we've got to cook it another. It looks awful. The glaze does. It's spotty and rough. So for it to smooth out, it's got to be fired at cone 6. So we got another one going to paint. I'm going to try to fire it in this other keel. So I hadn't forgot about it, but I'm going to tell you the next thing. My poor old bride has been struggling to get Christmas pottery done and out that has got to be painted. It's Deborah, thank you on the lights. And y'all hadn't seen everything. I'm gonna give y'all a quick look around, right quick. If I can do this without it being, you see these lights? We hung these up here, and then y'all ain't seen all this mess. We really rednecked up the side, and then I've got a spotlight over there. But you can see I wrapped that beam. I try to do this slow where it ain't jumping and jerking and all such as that. And then you see I went all the way around, and you can see that. And then see I've got my cast iron hanging up here behind y'all. So I've wrapped that red lights, and then when I run out of red, so what we done as any good redneck would do, we took all the leftover Christmas lights that we didn't put on the trees and then the other decorations that was left in there in sacks, and we put them all over out here. So anyway, the cast iron collection, I had to go buy some hooks today. So I went and I bought this right here to screw in the bottom of them logs to hang my cast iron on. So I got plenty more hooks is what I'm telling you. So now I got to have more cast iron to hang up there. Add to my collection. I like cooking in cast iron, and we are going to do a lot of cast iron cooking. So also coming up that I want to do, I'm going to find me some rebar. I want to build me a cook range. Now, I like my tripod. I'm going to keep the tripod, and I'm going to swap them out. But I want another tripod. And what I've got in my mind is I want a 3 legs that will go from tripod to cook range. In other words, I can drive them in the ground and run a stake to them, but now they'll be a whole lot shorter than this rig up. But I should be able to work it the same. So I seen them down, somebody stealing it, yeah. Here I'm blessed, and I'll tell you why. The way my house is located, there's people that do not work. Like my mom and dad are retired, and my dad is working a shop right there. He's home all day. We are here working. We are home all day. My uncle lives next door. He's home all day. And the lady that lives down here and right in front of me, she's home most of the time. So there's people right here pretty much all the time. So this is not an area that thieves can just kind of frequent and come in. Now, to say they slip up here at night, it's possible. I would sleep through a freight train coming through the backyard. But my wife does not. Any little thing wakes her up. Well, the dogs is the next thing. If there's somebody out here rummaging around, one of these dogs is going to go ballistic. Them in the house, if there's anything goes on, makes a racket outside, they come unglued. So I well know when something's outside. So, my wife's going to hear all that, wake me up, something's out there. And that's how so I ain't gonna sit here and say what I do if I caught somebody out here stealing my cast iron. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna shoot somebody over cast iron. But I'd make them think I was probably. But anyway, I am enjoying it. I've got it lit up. I have got a light fixture project that I'm gonna do. When helped my sister move into her house down on the coast, there was this giant, funny looking thing out there in the garage. Said, "You want that? You like antiques?" So yeah, what is it? None of us know. It is a type of oil or kerosene lamp that it's decorative, it's brass, and it's centerpiece, and then it's got 2 pieces out. It's over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna destroy it, but I'm gonna rig some wires up on it to put 2 light bulbs in it, and I'm gonna mount it to one of these poles right over here somewhere. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do that. Yeah, but it's gonna be a decorative piece something that I create. I like to make lights out of junk. I don't know why. So that'll happen out here. I've got a spotlight that's clamped up right up here that it's gonna disappear. I'm not a fan of the bright white looking light. I like the more yellow light. So Probably going to swap out some of these bulbs. I want a good mix of color, but at least tonight you can see what's going on out here instead of like the video where it was so dark you couldn't tell what was going on. Nora, last night, I don't know why, but when I got through filming out here, it was dark. My sinuses was giving me fits. I got in there and I got frustrated because all that footage was as bad as it was. I edited it. I started it to upload. I went over there at the bookcase and started looking for a book to read, and I thought, I don't feel like reading a book, and I went and got to bed. Last night I was in the bed before 9 o'clock. So now my body has been triggered into, let's go to bed early. Joanne, yes, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. Talking about family, she said getting along and living close by. Family is important, y'all, and cherish them while you got them. I've had a lot of comments about when they see my dad helping me do stuff on here and say, you blessed to still have your dad. I still have my dad and my mom, and I'm telling y'all the truth that every day I tell God, thank you. Thank you that I still have both of my parents. My wife still has both of her parents. All of my kids are healthy. I've got my brother and my sister and all their families, and all of them are healthy. And y'all, money can't buy that. And I don't take it for granted. I do not. That is blessed beyond measure. Kids that have kids that's healthy is a blessing that a lot of people, you take it for granted. That's just the way it is. But then when you see other people struggling with their kids, something happened to them, accidents, or if they're born with something or whatever, that's a painful thing to have to deal with. And it breaks my heart to see people, and when people lose a kid, none of us are promised tomorrow. None of our families are promised tomorrow. And you don't never know when you're going to get a phone call that somebody in your family is gone now. And it can happen without warning, without notice. So take time to cherish the days that you have. If you have a falling out with a family member, especially a parent or a child, y'all listen to me real good right here. Do your part on your end to forgive them for whatever they've done, no matter how bad it is or what. Do your part. Now, they may not forgive you and they may not talk to you, but do your part to make that right, even if they in the wrong. Because when they're gone, you'll regret it every time. And I done talked to too many people that have been in that situation, and it's a painful thing to live with the rest of your life, knowing that person departed this world without us on speaking terms, and knowing that I could have done something to try to remedy this. If you've done your part and they won't have nothing to do with you, then that's out of your control. Then I get that, but do your part. Make the effort, even if it's painful, even if it takes you swallowing a pill that you don't like. And I realize kids can go get off into some stuff. Parents can hurt you. Family members can hurt you. They say things that they ought not to do, but make an effort to put it together if you can, And I don't know every situation. I know people go through things that I don't understand, but Larry Alexander, this is some friends of ours. His name is Sam Allen, the young man. I don't know exactly. He's 15 or he's 16 or 17, I think. Maybe 18. I don't know. He's in his last couple of years of high school, and he had an automobile accident, and he's in bad shape. He's getting better. He's getting better all the time. But the victories in his life right now is today his mama handed him a toothbrush and he put it in his mouth and tried to brush his teeth. He's been in the hospital over 30-something days, and this is for the shape he's in and what he's been through so far. This is a huge victory, but he needs a lot of prayer. And if y'all would pray for him, it would mean the world. Because there's a lot of power in prayer.
How you cut this off?
I done cut it off. It needs some salt in it, though, I think. Did you ever put any salt?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it needs a little bit more. But anyway, that family is going into Christmas time, and it's hard on them, I know. Now, there's a lot of people helping them. They're not being forsaken. I mean, there's a lot of benefits trying to go on, but still, benefits in the face of 30-something days in the hospital with the amount of treatment he's had. Y'all, the medical bills are going to be staggering at the best situation. So, if you can't help them, what we're going to do here on this channel, just so y'all know, I'm going to get a Bowie knife made, a really nice Bowie knife. It's going to be made with an antler handle. I showed in a video some of the pieces to it. Once that video's made, the knife's made, I'm going to make a really nice sheath for it. And I'm probably going to just make an ambidextric style sheath, I think, sort of like probably similar to the one that Jeremiah Johnson had. And then we're going to sell chances on that knife. And I'm going to sell them for $10 a chance. And every penny of it that we raise will go to benefit that boy in the hospital. So it's tough on them. And me standing out here watching them, I told my wife tonight, I said, you know, it's sad that a huge victory for that mama is for her son to put a toothbrush in his mouth and attempt to brush his teeth. And this is wonderful news, y'all. I mean, it's a miracle that he's at this point. But that's still a tough situation at best. And I said, you know, don't take for granted what we've got, because next week it could be me and one of my kids, you know. God hadn't promised none of us that the rest of our lives was going to be easy street. So, you know, I look at everything that, you know, I could be faced with that tomorrow. It's like we spent time with a family here in the last couple of weeks that buried their precious mama. And that's tough. It's not as tough as losing a little child, but it's still tough. It's family that you're attached to, and it's tough. And I thank God every day that I got my daddy, I got my mama, I got my 2 kids, I've got my wife. Money don't buy that. So, y'all don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Good night, Stephanie. Well, y'all, what y'all want to talk about now? Roscoe is back up here after his bone. Michelle has took the turnip greens in the house. I may need to go poke in my fire over here. Good night, Nora. Let me stoke in this fire, y'all, for a second and see if we can get some coals up here going again. I didn't want to build a big roaring fire out here tonight. But I got some little old pieces of some of my wood stakes. It's busted up. I was using to stake these posts out with. Put them in there and let them burn. Let me show y'all something else. I have got an arm load, y'all. You see them chunks? I cut that into with a chainsaw. I don't know if you can see the color in that. That is some of the prettiest fat wood I have seen. And y'all, I mean, there's this much more over there on the ground. And then I've got a whole stump I seen somebody around here locally the other day was selling slivers, bundles of them twigs. I don't know if that ever, yeah, that's just right. Oh, man. We ain't gonna run out of tea. So how many of y'all's drinking goldenrod tea on a regular basis now? I love it. I don't know why I love it. Snowing hard in Colorado. Whew, I wish we could get some snow. People tell me I'm crazy. Do y'all watch any of these other northern channels? I try to find some that I like. I have yet to find one that I really like, but I want to watch somebody, they get snow on a regular basis and don't gripe about it. Everybody that gets snow, I mean, it's like, oh, it's snowing. I watch Idaho Hillbilly. He's funny. I like to watch some of his stuff. And it starts snowing up there. He don't like it not one bit. I'm like, man, I'd give my eye a tooth if it snow here, but now I don't have to work in it. I want it to snow because I can leave my house and just walk right down to my little workshop and build a fire in it and make pottery, and I wouldn't care if it snowed axle deep to a Ferris wheel. If I had to get out and work like out in the public and drive somewhere every day, no, I wouldn't like it either. Larry, right now I've got the bearing for the clutch laying in there on the table. The primary clutch bearing went out in it, and the belt locked up, so it would lock that clutch into gear instead of letting it be in a neutral position. Not only the bearing, I had to buy a tool to pull it off with, and I've got all of that laying in my shop down there. Hopefully tomorrow I can pull that apart. I've got to pull the clutch apart and replace the bearing in it, and I've never done any of that before, so you do a goldenrod tincture. Yeah, Mary, I'm sure I would. I'm not gonna argue with you on that, not none. I have not. I've got goldenrod tincture. My goldenrod tincture though has rabbit tobacco, turkey tail mushroom, and I think I put some greenbrier root in it. I've got a greenbrier root tincture, just it. Something else I put in there. But anyway, it tastes just like NyQuil or Robitussin. So I don't know which plant in there pulled that flavor out. Does your goldenrod tincture taste like NyQuil? Because it's strong. I was like, whoo, ain't no way I could see drinking much of that. We drank some mullein tea, but I hadn't done a lot of it. I like the rabbit tobacco. I drank the whole pot of rabbit tobacco tea the other day. I love it. I like the flavor, but now I will tell you, rabbit tobacco, if you get it too strong, it has a bite to it. I had to weaken it down. The goldenrod, I can let it get strong as it wants to, and it's still good. So that's why I favor it as just a tea to drink. I ain't really after the medicinal qualities in it. It's better than me drinking coffee all the time. I would drink several pots of coffee all day long if during the winter, but it ain't good for you. Not that much of it. Your kidneys will. So this is a good contrast because it'll help flush the I don't know why this all of a sudden got bad smoky under here. That fire's going yonder way. Anyway. I got plantain salve. I've used it. Brody has to use that plantain salve. We have to keep about near a pint jar of it around pretty handy for him. Goldenrod and saw pink elephants. Oh, Lord. I ain't never had it affect me like that. I've drank a heap of it, too. I mean, it's like right there. I done emptied that pot one time, and we working on the second pot of it tonight. Tastes like grass alcohol. Mary. Oh, Lord, I got to fix that problem. I do. I done forgot about it. I'm glad you reminded me. I need to write that down and remedy that in the morning. Sure did forget about it. But guess why I'm not drinking in an ugly mug? You dilute it. Taylorsville, North Carolina. East Tennessee, Daniel Keller. Santiago. I hope I pronounce these. All right, I can do that. I can do that. Mary is starting her collection. All right, I am caught up on comments. It looks like. Oh, anyway, we was out here talking about these lights, and somebody said what I needed to do was buy a chandelier. Y'all know, they got to talking about one time about buying a chandelier for the church, and Uncle Versey had done got on up in years. He is getting old, and he didn't really go to church no more much, but they was having a business meeting down at the church, and he done got worried they was finna spend some money. And he'd heard that they was fixing to buy a chandelier, and he got down there and said, Mr. Moderator, said, I move that we buy a chandelier. Somebody else said, I second the motion. Said the man spoke, said, is there any discussion? Said Uncle Versey stood up. He said, sir, I'd like to speak. He said, yes, sir, Uncle Versey, you've got the floor. Uncle Versey said, well, said, do we keep talking about buying a chandelier? And he said, and we ain't got anybody here with enough of education that when we order it from Sears and Roebuck, that they could even spell it. He said, and if we ordered the chandelier and it got here, we ain't got nobody that knows how to play it. And what I want to know is why are we trying to buy a chandelier as bad as we need lights in the church? That's kind of the way we was out here. Why would we need to buy a chandelier as bad as we needed lights out here? Yes, Daniel Keller, the next 2 weeks, I am fixing a layout of pottery as much. I'm not going to quit making pottery. I can't quit making pottery. And I am going to make several knives. So we got knives coming. We got pottery still being made. But for the next 2 weeks, we're going to take some extra time and we're going to do some hunting. My biggest thing is, like I was telling Larry with the buggy, with the buggy being out of commission and the bearing messed up in it is what's kept me out of the swamp since late grunnel fishing. It had gotten such bad shape, it needed a bunch of money thrown at it. So hopefully tomorrow or Monday I can get the buggy problem remedied. As soon as that's remedied, I have got a lot of fishing and hunting that I'm going to get caught up on. And with knowing me, we're going to film all of it. So yeah, I want to take my Moss's Creek calls. If y'all hadn't checked out Moss's Creek, pull up Moss's Creek Outdoors on YouTube. He's up in Tennessee. He's right above Memphis, right there somewhere. And he makes a bunch of game calls, but he made me some squirrel whistles and sent them do some flintlock. Lost audio. Is it back? Can y'all hear me now? Well, I'll tell you exactly what happened. My buddy Casey Gray was calling. It popped up on there that there was a phone call coming in, so it blocks audio. What I didn't do was put it on airplane mode, and I done had 2 phone calls come in. The first one, Mr. John Dyden called, and I cut it off on here. Well, when Casey called, it didn't pop up on here. So that's what happened. Next time when a phone call comes in, I'll go over there and decline it. I should have put it on airplane mode before I went live. They don't know. They can't help it. Chris Smith, you made the right decision. He said, years ago, I broke up with a girl when she told me that she had never heard of Jerry Clower. That would have been a miserable relationship. I'm just going to tell you right now. It wouldn't have never worked no way. Uh-oh, Roscoe done treed again. Yeah. I got my Ode Pro light right here. We'll look and see what he's... Ain't no telling. I've got as fine a patch of wheat coming up right out here, but I ain't seen a rabbit one in it. And it's probably because of what's going on right now, that's why I ain't seen one in it. Usually you can shine around and you can spot. But that's why they don't, rabbits and stuff don't eat my garden up. But now the deer will eat the peas up because by the time they get out there, Roscoe's in there in the house in the bed. Yeah, Larry, that video with me and Casey was in the swamp paddling that canoe around. We had a good day that day. Let me tell this story. I put old Casey Gray up in the front of the boat, and he had my Optima Pro, that CVA modern inline muzzle loader. We had it loaded with 2 of them block pellets of powder and a sabot shoved down there, and it's a fairly accurate muzzle loader. I just ain't a fan of that style of muzzleloader. But I had it when it used to be what you had to hunt with, and then now I've got a 45-70. I'd rather tote it if I ain't gonna tote an old traditional one. So I had my 45-70 in the back, and he had that muzzleloader up in the front of the canoe. We paddling that big 16-foot canoe around that swamp. And we got down there, and Casey said, you ever heard of them boys? Said, I watched a video, said they was out pawing on the ground and rattling, and he had this little bag of rattlers, and he was rolling his hand rattling. He got to kicking limbs and leaves and stomping around. I'm sitting in the back of the canoe going, oh, Lord, well, we don't see nothing here. You know, he done run everything in here and all, but oh, well, let him get it over with, try it. He got through, and I'm thinking, man, we ain't gonna see nothing. I'm turning the canoe around. We start paddling out, and there's a biggish buck comes up on the side of the bank over there. Well, it sees us paddling, and it turns around and starts trotting off. Well, I went, yeah. And that thing stopped and turned around and looked, and no Casey said, boom. That deer just looked at him and put its head down and took a few more steps. I said, oh, man. Well, we got loaded up. I said, I don't know if he hit it or not. I don't think so, but we're going to go look. We reloaded the muzzle loader. We got out there and we start walking. And we don't walk far. And we out there looking, ain't found no blood, ain't found nothing. And I hear some sloshing going on, kloosh, kloosh, kloosh. I looked over and I found him. He's over there. The sloshing's that way coming at us. There was 2 does run by us, and then there was 4 bucks come through chasing them. And they come right between us. We couldn't even hardly shoot at them because I couldn't find him, and I didn't want to shoot him. He didn't want to shoot me. Well, when they got past us, he shot at one of them and missed it. We had deer running everywhere. Well, we didn't paddle far on around back down there, and I found the one that we killed that day laid up on the bank down there, and I literally shot him laying on the ground. I could see him. He raised up, was looking at us, and I shot him right there. Think it's gonna burn up? Boiling over, ain't it? I'm glad I got y'all to watch out for me. But look how wonderful that works like that, y'all. While I'm up, we're gonna top it off. See, you helped out. No sound again. Jimmy, can y'all hear me? I ain't getting a call this time. Can anybody else hear me? All right. Oh, Jimmy Covington, what kind of steel do you make your knives out of? The knives like this one that I carry all the time, this Jonah knife. It's a thin knife. It is a lot. This is the most popular knife right here that I do. And it is you see it's thin. This is like a 1/16 of an inch. This is made out of a saw blade about this big around that my dad cuts metal tubing with. They're Tenryu, Tenryru, I think, or RYU. I can't remember. It's Tenryu blades. I looked them up on the internet, did some research on them, and they come at a 65 Rockwell. So what I do when I make these, I don't fire these, I don't temper them, I don't do anything but grind them, and that's it. So what I do is when I grind them very slowly. It takes me a while to do it so that I don't heat this up, and I cut them out with a cutoff wheel on a grinder. But what little bit that it gets hot, it cuts very fast, and it don't never turn blue or change colors. If that metal changes colors somewhere while you grinding on it, starts turning blue, well, you got to temper it then, or refire it, heat it, quench it, temper it. And you can do all that with these knives. I mean, it don't hurt to do that, but you don't have to. So I grind them out and grind them very slow so that they don't change colors, and then I put handles on them, and they've made excellent knives. Now this one, you have to sharpen it occasionally. I don't mind sharpening a knife. In fact, I like to sharpen one. What I find is if I've got a knife that I can use and don't never have to sharpen it, well, once it gets dull, it takes me forever to get it back to sharp. It's probably because I let it go a little too long before I do it. Now this one has got sycamore handles on it. But now the Bowie knives that I forge, right now I have done several out of lawnmower blades. I have done, it's a Jonah knife, and there's a reason behind it. I'll explain that in a minute. There is what I call a G-whiz, or at least that's what the old timers here tell me that's what it is. I've never plowed with a mule, but it is the old plows that go behind the mules, those springs that come down and they're pointed, and then you could bolt another plow to them, but a lot of people just use that pointed part of that spring, and they you know, what my grandpa called scratching around his plants, and they was just to remove grass and weeds and such as that. So, okay. I forge them out of that. So what I do with them, it is a really, really good steel. They hold a good edge and they do fine. I get them to their, what we call critical temperature once I've finished the knife. I try to heat them up and anneal them while I'm forging them, and I let them cool down so that they're not so hard. And then I'll quench it at critical temperature in motor oil. I've got some burnt motor oil in a little thing. Quench it, and then once I'm done with it, to bring it back down from being brittle, I'll put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 2 hours and let it cook, and that'll bring it back down to a good where you can, if you drop it, it don't break the tip out of it. I had one that I quenched and I broke the tip off of, and I had to reforge it. But anyway, that is those are the two main things I use. But now, lawnmower blades you can make a really good knife out of, provided you use good lawnmower blades. You're probably not going to make a real good knife out of a blade if you bought a lawnmower at Lowe's and used the cheapest grade of blades, you know. That lawnmower blade that I put on mine this year, I gave over $100 for the 3 blades that I put on my lawnmower. And the guy is like, why you want them thicker? I said, because these will make fine knives when I'm through. But the next thing is when you cutting grass out here, we asked a guy, we was buying new blades, and he said, y'all, you run over them ain't beds? He said, you don't need to run over them ain't beds with your lawnmower. And I said, man, I'll run over an ain't bed and look at it, and if I don't think I got it good, I'll back over it. He just hung his head. He didn't say nothing else. He knew he'd wasting his time there. But the biggest thing is, like, with limbs falling and stuff, y'all, if I walked around this 4 acres and picked up every little thing out of the yard and leveled out every ant hill that's out here before I cut grass, I never would get through. Roscoe has done taken off on another one. Joanne, good to see you tonight. Good night. Thank you, Patrick. I opened that box of peppers that you sent today. I'm letting them dry so that I can get the seeds, and I let them dry in the pepper so that I wouldn't mix them up. I wanted them seeds to dry good. And I'm going to divide them all up into names and package them away here sometime. But I looked at them today. I left them in the box, and they dehydrated down. They just right. But I literally looked at them today. I was like, I wonder how these are doing. I had to move them. The first place I set them down, something got in there and started eat part of one of the peppers, and I had to move them. I don't know what got in. I didn't see any kind of a bug or nothing in there. Francisco, thank you. I am thoroughly enjoying this back porch. We even put together a little bit of a Christmas decoration Michelle did for the camera tonight. I said, we need something, you know, it's just a plain table sitting out here, but I've got to do some work on this table. There's some probably 1/4 of an inch cracks right here. So I'm going back all these. There's 3 screws in each end of this board, and there ain't none. I don't know, there may be a screw right there. Yeah, there's one there, and there. I'm going to back all these screws out, and I'm going to squeeze that together. And this board is higher than the other ones. So I don't know. I may try to sand it. I have sanded it some. I may try to plane it. I don't know. But it has got a good weathered look to it already, so I kind of like it. I don't want to shine it all up. It's good and smooth now. It's old table. It was a white oak tree that my dad had milled up back a long time ago, and I said, well, I want to make a table out of some of them boards, and it's been a good table. It's heavy. Southeast Oklahoma, Johnny Mac. Diana said, tell the Jonah story. No, I have not grown. Well, yes, I have, Glenn. Technically, these 2 sawtooth oaks out here, I brought them acorns home in my pocket from a job that I was at, and put them in the ground. And no, I put them in a flower pot out here by my shed, and they sprouted up, and I pulled up the 2 of them and planted them, and they've done. And now I have picked up acorns from them and started a pot, and me and Brody planted about 6 last spring. But now he's run over 2 of them, I know, with his little green Power Wheels tractor. And I run over one with a lawnmower. So I don't know how many have survived. They were about this tall when I put them out. I did bring in a couple of fig trees as cuttings that I started. Fig trees are very easy to do cuttings out of. If you'll put that in some water or wet dirt that you keep wet and put a plastic, like a grocery bag, over the top where it keeps humidity in there, they'll grow roots like nobody's business, especially over in like January, February, and all. But now I have not done any pecans, walnuts. I have tried, I got one pecan tree that I have started from a sprout that I dug up and transplanted. Um, but she asked me to tell the Jonah story. We were down there fishing. You go back in videos and get all the footage back when we were running the canoe this past spring, catfishing, doing limb lines. And I had this knife right here out, and it was fairly new. I had just made this design of knife, and I was wanting something that was just practical. I love my big buoys, but they're a little bit cumbersome when you're sitting in a canoe and you're getting in and out of a buggy and all that stuff. I mean, a big knife on your side keeps bumping around and hanging stuff. And I just wanted a good everyday size knife. It was multi-purpose, you know, do whatever with. And so I designed this, and I'll be honest with y'all, I based it off of some of the knives that Dave Canterbury makes, but I changed it up a little bit. I didn't want it to look exactly like his, because I don't believe in just copying and mimicking what somebody else do. Not to mention his has an 1/8 of an inch blade, and I wanted a thin blade that would go in between a fork. And also I had all of these saw blades that I could use. So I'm down there fishing, and we're using it, and I'm cutting cut bait up with it on my paddle. I got the paddle laying in my lap, and I'm cutting that liver or something up, and I think I had deer liver. And I laid the knife on the paddle, and I was doing something. Well, Brody was with me, and he was in the front of the canoe, and it started drifting up in limbs, and I was worried about that set hook over there in that swift water dragging Brody up under that hook, and the hook getting in him. So before I thought, I grabbed my paddle and went to turn the canoe with this. When I grabbed the paddle with this hand to get over here and paddle, the knife slid off. We got rain, y'all. The knife slid off and went in the water. Well, I went back down there the next day with a magnet. I had a magnet tied. Basically, it was an old speaker out of a car, subwoofer. So the magnet was about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches in diameter. And I had it tied to a string, and I'm dropping it, and I bounced around everywhere, and I didn't find it. Well, the next day I went down there and run my hooks, and I looked for it, bounced that magnet around. I didn't ever find nothing. Well, the third day, me and Brody was back with me, and we was in there in the canoe, and I was like, I paddled by that one spot, and I'm like, I was checking this hook. I said, that knife went right there. I dropped that magnet off and bounced it about twice, and I heard clink. I pulled it up, and my knife was stuck to the bottom of that magnet. So it spent 3 whole days in the bottom of the creek down here. Well, Jonah was in the belly of the deep for 3 days. He was actually in a whale's belly, or a great fish. So I named it Jonah. It spent 3 days in the deep. So that's how it got its name. And it's called the Jonah knife. Well, John, I'm glad that handle working out for you. Yeah, Larry, these deer here love sawtooth acorns. Sawtooth acorns is golden. And the sawtooth made acorns this year. We have a white oak in this swamp. I don't know the technical, we just call them white oaks. There's several different technical species, but these grow the big giant acorns. And I mean, they big, pretty acorns. The deer love them. And that swamp has several patches. When I would always kill a couple of deer hunting those white oak patches. Wherever I knew there was some white oak acorns, you could set up on it. And I'm telling you, them deer will walk by the neighbor's corn pile to come to them white oaks. Well, this year there is no white oak acorns at all. Nowhere that I know of in our area now. other parts of the country possible. Cindy, I don't know. The rain just now started. That is the first, and it is really just a light sprinkle. So I don't know. It could be what's doing it. I don't know. Don't know. Yeah, Tommy, we can sit out here and cook. I still got my tea and the fire going in the rain. I did want to look to see right where that rain was hitting on my rock wall. It was dripping right on the back edge of it. So I'm good. Y'all, I don't know if y'all can tell anything about my rocks over there, but I've got a horseshoe basically made out of the rocks, and I've got a flat shovel back and I'm keeping over here against the wall so that if I want to cook under my cast iron, I can take that shovel and shovel the coals out. And over here, like if I wanted a roaring fire there. But I wanted this so I could get out here and film these lives and film all my cooking videos. So I've got to kind of figure out how to set up my cameras where I get good footage, and that was my whole deal. I wanted it to look good on camera when we get out here filming, so that's what I'm shooting for. I have edited enough videos, and I mentioned this earlier. I get sidetracked, but I've edited videos, and I be looking, and I see my junk sitting off in the background. I go, man, I need to clean that up, and I've steadily moved it. But the more I haul off, the more that reappears right there. And it's like a non-stop trail to a county dump to get rid of stuff. I got a mattress propped up now. My wife come home the other day. I say the other day, they had a sale somewhere on mattresses. She said, don't be mad at me. Y'all, we ain't never had a brand new mattress. We've had this king size bed since we built a house. I built that bed, and it's got big cypress posts, 4 cypress trees. And I built a king size bed. This is gonna be the bed I have till the day I die. I want a big bed, so I built it. Well, somebody gave us a mattress to go on it in box spring, so we was good. Well, it slept awful. I mean, our backs have hurt for the last 5 or 6 years. Ain't really had a good night's sleep. But, mattresses are outrageous. Well, somebody had a sale on mattresses that was in a box. And they had a king size, and it was like a couple of $100. And she said, I bought a mattress. I said, please don't be mad. But they was on sale. I mean, it was a deal. So we cut the thing open. It sleeps pretty good. A lot better than what we had. So I've got a mattress propped up out here on the back wall that I got to do something with. And I mean, it's a major ordeal to haul a mattress off somewhere. Most everybody else, I think, just throws them on the side of the road somewhere, because I see a heap of them when I'm going somewhere. But I ain't going to do that. I got to load it up and haul it off. So right now it's propped up, and I've been desperately trying to keep it out of videos, because it's going to look like Ned and the First Reader around here. Rural Prepper, thank you. I learned my storytelling from Jerry Clower. I honest to God, y'all, I couldn't tell you how much Jerry Clower I've listened to. And I'm going to tell y'all another one, and I mentioned it one night, is that Wendy Bagwell. Now, if you ain't heard Wendy Bagwell tell about the Volkswagen, you need to listen to Wendy Bagwell tell about that Volkswagen they went and got. That's a good one. And I can't remember ever detailing that story. It's been a long time since I heard it, but it's on YouTube. I about know. You can look at him and see it. Yeah, Larry, we've got a big brush pile that I'm thinking about burning it and then putting the springs in with my daddy's scrap iron. And when he hauls a load of scrap iron off, yeah, Chris, you got a good point there. A good pair of shoes is ideal, and I'm gonna tell y'all, I have wore Red Wings, Lacrosse, Wolverines, Ariat, Justin boots, and something else. I have had, and I'm just talking about leather work boots, and we talking about some of them was lace up. Red Wing makes a really good boot. Red Wings are not that comfortable. my daddy, they used to give him a pair pretty regular when he was working offshore as safety gift when they'd get safety awards. And sometimes he would get a pair in my size and I would wear them. And I've had several pair of Red Wing boots. There ain't no boot that I have ever wore that is as comfortable as Twisted X boots. I had a good pair of Rocky boots. Rocky's made the next best pair of boots that I've ever had. Now, then rubber boots, I've had a list of rubber boots, and so far those, the High boots are pretty good, but now I wound up giving my High boots to Nikki Roberts. She was up here, and they fit her. They was a little bit tight on me. When they sent me them boots, I tried 3 times to get the right size, and I never did get the size that really fit me. And my wife has got a pair of them now that we kept for her that she likes. And they're good boots. But now those call boots, I've walked all over the swamp in them. They're pretty comfortable. I had a pair of Mucks, and y'all, Mucks just do not last. They were comfortable, but they didn't last. Now, how these pairs that I've got last to good wear, I don't know. But now I've got a pair of Boggs that I bought here local at a place that are good boots. Boggs made a good boot. They still hold it with me, and I've had them about 4 years. Way outlasted Muck. Muck does not make a good quality boot. They're expensive, but they're not good quality. Thorogoods, I've never had a Thorogood. I can't speak on them. And y'all, I've spent a lot of time in a pair of boots. I even metal roofed in boots because the Twisted X would stick to a roof, and the Ariats I had would stick to a roof. But now, Justin boots, I liked them because we shared the same name, but that's the sorriest pair of boots I ever had. They just didn't hold up. But I agree, your feet hurting and a good mattress is important. The problem is I can afford a good pair of boots. A good mattress is several $1,000s. Well, we got this one for a couple of $100, and it's a pretty good mattress. So here's the next thing. The one that we did previously had that was given to us was a several $1,000 mattress that was a pillow top type mattress. And y'all, it hurt my back. It wasn't for me. I don't know what the deal with it was, but I had to get off of it. So anyway, and I gave it to somebody else that said they liked them pillow top mattresses. So it was like, here, you can have this. And so I think they enjoyed it. So it's just me, I guess, but yeah, and y'all talking about Mucks. I think when they started out, they had a quality pair of boots, but the last pair that I had was horrible. They just come all to pieces. Just rubber stuff peeling off of them. They started leaking. The seams separated. I tried to glue the sole back onto them. It was just a miserably put together. Somebody was telling me about the guy, and I can't think of his name. He's out Midwest somewhere, and he does wood like cutting wood and logging and something. And he was reviewing something that's an expensive pair of boots, but they're real flexible, sort of like a moccasin. And I hadn't found them anymore. I was gone. Uncle Sasquatch, if you got them 20 years ago, you probably got a pair of the good ones back when they made them out of something. Sandy, you baffled me. You said put a piece of plywood under the mattress will help your back. You talking about between the box spring and the mattress? It's interesting. It's interesting. Because plywood's cheap for a good night's sleep. Yeah, Gannon, I'm like you. Pillow top ain't for me. It was soft, man. When I first laid down on that pillow top, I said, "Oh, this feels good." It felt wonderful. But after about 2 nights of sleep, me and my wife got up the next morning. We was sitting in a rocking chair out there. I looked over. I said, your back hurting?" She looked over at me. She said, "Well, I was wondering if yours was." I said, "Mine's killing me." I said, "I feel awful." And we slept on that for a year. I mean, because it was an expensive mattress, and I wasn't going to go buy another one. So anyway, we wound up giving it away, putting the old one back on there, and then we give that one away, and I slept on the old one a while. So anyway, well, y'all are telling me something I have never heard of that. 1/2 inch plywood between the box spring and the mattress will help with back pain. And I don't have a lot of back pain. It's usually at different times, but I have yet to just wake up one morning and be like, "Oh, I feel wonderful." So, I don't know. And I am well, Tommy. I told Brody, me and Brody are a lot alike. Brody slept with me last night in the bed. And Brody sleeps like a crappie you've just caught and drug out on the bank. I mean, he's flopping from this way to that way, rolling over. And I'm the same way. I'll tear the sheet slam off of a bed. When I wake up in the morning, it's all out of sorts. But I'll roll over and I'll turn this way, and a little bit I'll roll back over this way, and I got my arm under me. So y'all done turned me on to something. I'm gonna have to try the plywood. I have never heard of that. Never in my life. South Louisiana, send me some boudin. Jalapeno boudin. That's what I need, a box full of it. Y'all got that good stuff down there. Independent thinker, I think me and you are a lot alike. I ain't quite that old, but I've put a lot of miles on this body in a few short years. That's why it don't bother me now to make pottery and be broke. I could go get a job making a lot more money right now if I wanted to. I'd be gone all the time, and I'd have to work a lot harder. And money ain't everything. To get up and walk down there and make pottery all day, now I'm on my feet all day, but if I need to stop and go hoe in the garden or go check traps or go check and see if a fish is biting, I can do that. And that's blessed beyond measure. Wesley, I'm definitely gonna do it. My wife's gonna have to help me tote a sheet of plywood in the house. We'll be at Lowe's here for quick and buy us a sheet of plywood and stick in there. I've got to find out if that. Keeps the cramps away. Well, I don't know how I have missed out on this all my life. 42 years. And I've never heard of putting plywood between the mattress and the box spring. I was thinking about it. Them old beds, we went in a homestead, I think up at Land Between the Lakes. Or it may have been the one up at Cherokee, I don't remember. But you walked in there and you looked at them little homesteads and stuff. And the old beds just had rope. They threw that mattress in there on that rope in there. Can't you imagine how they felt when they woke up in the morning? And they usually had to go plow a mule. Tommy, you got an excellent point there. He said, even if it don't help with the sleeping, you got a good sheet of plywood. You have a good point there. The problem is now is how wide is a sheet of plywood's 48, and a king size bed is about 50 something, ain't it? I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get it all the way over to my side of the bed and leave her with part of the, ain't got no ply. I may have to cut a strip and add to it. I don't know. I gotta try this. I am never heard of such. Well, that baffles me. I had never heard of that. I am really liking this swinging chain thing out here for my teapot. Keeps it at just the right temperature. Look at that steam coming off that mug. Look at that. See that? Boy, ain't that good. Well, Cindy, I put the seam right dead in the middle. Get a plywood stretcher. They on that aisle at Lowe's over there right beside the sky hooks, right down from the blinker fluid. I'll get them. I know right where to look. Thank you. We getting everything out here like we want it. Yeah, Wesley Thomas, they was tough. Me and somebody was talking about how tough that generation. I scroll through Instagram sometimes. I put a good many reels on Instagram. And I scroll through. I mean, before you know it, you done watch 20 of them, and then you go like, "My God, what am I doing? Turn that off. I got to do something." You know, we all about the same. So I was scrolling through one. There was this girl talking about. She's like, if we had a war, something about the boomers think they can. She said if they had to start over with nothing right now, no help, and couldn't use none of their previous job recommendations and just had to start over with nothing, they would never make it in this society and right today like they did. I said, whoa. I'm not a boomer, but I know that generation. Most of them people has done started over 2 or 3 times with nothing in this day and age because they've lost half everything to a spouse that they just didn't want to live with. They partied hard. They've done drugs and law. I mean, they most of that generation knows more about starting over. They tough. Well, that's the boomers. You go back before them to the generation that's passing away right now, that's 80 and 90 years old and 100 years old right now. Man, they was here when they first got electricity and rode mule and wagons to town. Don't none of these young'uns need to be talking to me about a generation that couldn't hack it now. What they worried about somebody offending them. Diana, she's liking it. She hadn't spent a lot of time out here because every time I'm out here, I got a camera on, and she don't want to be on camera. Tell me that's hilarious. Lord, I've seen them, had them out there on videos tightening up the hook on the crane. I watched one old boy, he spin it till the reel went off. I reckon he's probably still standing there spinning it today. Hey. Well, y'all, we're going to be here all night. It is already 9:19. We done been going at this almost 2.5 hours and still got 98 people. I know there's a bunch of people got off and different ones got on. I try to do it long enough that I didn't really give y'all no whole lot of warning today that we was going to go live. We was uptown. I thought, man, I need to try to do a live tonight. I like to do it. I enjoy sitting here just talking and carrying on. But I do try not to make them so long. And I don't know if people that go back and watch it, if the chat pulls up for them or not, because I know it got to be lost without it. The last times I went back and looked, the chat ain't been on the ones that I went back and watched, and I hadn't went back and watched all of them. But if anybody knows how to get that on there, I would like to leave it on there. The last one I did, it said an error uploading, and I didn't never give me an option to fix it. So I don't know what happened with it. Uncle Sasquatch, did she oil them up good? Up north, some of y'all done left and made it back. Probably went and worked a job and come back. We've been on here a whole shift. But yeah, I'm fixing to go ahead and shut it off. I know some of y'all may be just getting on there. Tyler's just popped on. So anyway, I have enjoyed sitting here talking to y'all, and you're going to see a bunch of videos out here over the next coming winter. We're going to do a bunch of cooking. I do want to do some different stuff. I don't like to do videos that everybody's already done to death, and I know y'all love old Kent Rollins, but there ain't but so many ways to cook anything. I do want to cook a raccoon, because a bunch of people's told me different ways to cook it and make it good. I tried to get my hands on a beaver, but I could have got him today, and I was out of pocket with my wife. I ain't had time to trap my own, so I got one of my buddies, Scott Wells. He's a trapper, like that's what he does for a living, and he's good at it. And I need to get up with him one day and hop in the truck and just ride with him and check traps and film him doing his thing, and he's good at what he does and stuff. Yes, Tyler, I make some knives. We're going to try to make some here in the next few weeks. I may film making one of them. But anyway, me and old Roscoe has done went to bed. I'm fixing to go in there and catch him. I finally finished my book that I'd been reading that Martin Meltzer had sent me. He sent me 2 or 3 more. I need to get started on some of them. But I am going to go in here and take me a nap. I got to eat some supper. I ain't had supper yet, so I'm finna do that. But y'all, we're going to do a lot of hunting and fishing coming up in the next 2 weeks through winter, and then we'll be cooking a lot of what we catch out here on this. So I may do like a little bit of hunting and then do a cooking video all together. I don't know. We're going to mix and match it up. Try to make it interesting. Try to make it look good. And I do have some more project stuff we're working on out here. I'll be filming. So I don't know what all we're going to do, but hopefully we get back to making some good quality videos. And I want to apologize for the one last night being so blurry and out of focus. After I got to, I didn't realize it was that bad out of focus. But anyway, thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors and sticking with me out here all night. It amazes me that y'all will sit and just listen to No Country Boy talk. But I do appreciate it, y'all. I appreciate everybody that tunes in and watches this channel. I love y'all. I thank you for watching. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. And we'll see all of you on the flip side. Y'all have a good one.